Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this, which is the NECA Friday the 13th Part 5 A New Beginning Ultimate Jason Voorhees. So yeah, we're starting to come to the end of the Jason marathon now. In fact, I only have two more figures that I need to get. The Part 2 Jason in the Sackhead, and also the 2009 Reboot Jason, which a review for that will be coming soon because as of recording this, it is on the way. So not long to go now, guys, but I thought I've done Part 3, I've done Part 4, so the next one to do would be this, because this actually does have some connections with the Part 4 release, which I will get onto shortly. So taking a look at the box, you've got that original Friday the 13th Part 5 poster with Tommy Jarvis and also the Jason mask there. On the side, you've got this nice CG sort of picture of Jason. It's not the action figure, it's just CG. And you've got the title, then you've got NECA Real Toys. Exact same on the other side. On the back, you've got this very nice publicity photos of the picture, the very strange mask that he comes with. I'll get onto that shortly. Nice picture of him there in the pouring rain in the graveyard. And then a very Part 4 appearance, which I'll also get onto, and of course the worms in the face. You've got Tommy Jarvis here staring at the grave, and I like all the lightning, it's very, very cool. It kind of pays homage to Part 6 in a way. Young Tommy Jarvis may have escaped from Crystal Lake, but he's haunted by the gruesome events that happened there. When gory murders start happening at the secluded halfway house for troubled teens where he now lives, it seems like his nightmare nemesis Jason Voorhees is back for more sadistic slaughters. Has Jason returned from the grave? So, opening up the box, you've got this very nice publicity image of the figure here, which has actually been put in real soil and also drenched in water, so that's very, very cool. Like, they've really gone for the visual effects there. And then here you've got this very awesome display piece of the figure with all of his interchangeable heads, his accessories, and his gravestone. And when I take the figure out, you'll actually see that the background is his grave coffin surrounded by the soil, so that's really nice attention to detail there. And just to show you guys, this is the 2021 reissue. I was wondering if maybe this was the original version because the legs are surprisingly loose, which I'll get onto in a moment, but no, this is definitely the most recent release, and like I say, you can check that by simply checking the product code at the bottom, and it should tell you the year in the last two digits. So without any further ado, let's get this guy out of the box. So as I mentioned, here's the backdrop. You've got the rain splattering down from all sides, and then you've got the empty coffin, which looks really, really cool. You can even see the leaves and the worms that were in his mask at one point. It's just a nice attention to detail, but I can't really picture this being used. So let's get on to the actual figure himself, who, as you can see, is soaking wet. Now, it's currently a very nice sunny day outside, so yeah, really does highlight that very well. As you can see, we do have, as an accessory, the Jason Voorhees grave, which is just the coolest thing ever. I love the dirt texture. I love the font on the wood. It just looks very simple and very rushed, you know, because, I mean, Jason didn't exactly have the biggest fan base, so yeah, it's a very nice piece, and like I say, it's great for displaying the figure next to, so it really recreates that scene. Now, the first head that comes on the figure, when you get it, is actually this head. So this is what the figure will look like when you take him out the box. This is the more standard head, and like I say, he does come with a multitude of heads. So I'll keep the box head on him while we just take a look at the articulation and stuff, and then we'll move on to accessories. So yeah, really like the detail on this figure, and I really love the way they've incorporated that sort of gloss paint to make him look really wet. Now, as you guys know, it is exactly the same body as the Part 4 Jason. There is no difference whatsoever. It's really just the heads and the wetness that's different, you know, and obviously the colours are slightly darker just to kind of give that illusion that he's soaking wet. And I have to say, when you stand him next to the dry Part 4 Jason Voorhees, it really does work. It's actually very, very impressive. Now, the reason why I thought that this might be an original version that I ended up with is, you know, you look at just how good and a lot tighter these joints are on this, which is the latest reissue for that, and this one is still kind of floppy, like, you know. So I mean, it stands perfectly fine, mostly, but you know, it's I'm not really sure what happened there, quality control and all that, but yeah, I did think maybe I'd ended up with an original, but the paint is really good on this and the masks, so you know, I definitely have got the reissue version for 2021. Like I say, check the barcode. So we'll just move on to the articulation very quickly. So the head can do a full 360, no problem, can lean really far forward, look quite far up. You can also do the side to side, which Jason really likes to do. You can bring the arms not quite to 90 degrees because it's hindered by the top of the shirt. You can do a full 360 over that way though. You've got a single bend at the elbow, plus a rotation. Then at the wrist, you've got a full rotation at the hand, and you can also do backward and forward and up and down if you want to. There is meant to be a full rotation at the waist, but I can never get it to work. I've never really understood this joint. You can lean him forward and sort of back, but I don't know, this thing has never really worked, and it's something that really bugs me on the Jason figures. I just don't understand what it's supposed to be. Like, I can almost feel an ab crunch under there because it's solid here, but then this bit kind of sinks in. And yeah, I just don't really understand how they've constructed it. It's very weird. So you can swivel both of the legs as well as bring them out to the side. You can bring them slightly forward, but like I say, you're going to warp this PVC piece, so if you leave it there, this will probably get looser. So, you know, I think when it comes to Jason figures, you tend to just leave them standing there. You've got a nice 90-degree bend at the knee, which is always good, and you do have a rotation at the knee as well. It's quite tight on mine. You've got rotation at the feet lastly, and slight forward and back. So, yeah, the articulation is standard. It's exactly the same as this figure because they share exactly the same body. It's just the joints on this one just don't seem to be as good as on here. You know, I don't know what NECA have done, but these ones feel smoother and, you know, much more tighter. Like, this is a much more solid figure. That might change over time, but I don't know. This one is just a bit lanky, to be honest. So it could just be mine. But like I say, he stands perfectly fine and he looks the part, so I'm not, like, overly upset. Big thank you to my mom for getting me this one for Christmas. I'd forgotten that I'd even asked for this, so when I got it, I was actually really happy. So we'll take a look at his accessories, as previously mentioned. We've got the gravestone, which is very cool. He comes with his trademark machete. You can't have a Jason without a machete. He comes with this screwdriver. I think it's a screwdriver. I probably am wrong, but it kind of has the bottom of a screwdriver, but it doesn't seem to have a screw thing at the end. But yeah, this is actually the first weapon that he uses when those two guys are digging him up. He just immediately sits up and sticks this in the guy's, I can't remember if it's his eye or something like that. He comes with the sort of the face where the worms have fallen out, which in comparison doesn't look quite as wet as this face, but still you've got that sort of, like, it's a bit dirty, you know. And yeah, I must admit, those worms look absolutely gruesome. Just get a close look at that. Very good. You've got all the detail from the part 4 head around the back. Same on this side. They're exactly the same head, just with different masks. But yeah, I'm more inclined to go with this version because I do like it when Tommy's sat there and he's just slowly walking towards him. You do get this head, which is when he appears towards the end of the film in the sort of dream, and you know, you get that trickle of blood dripping down, and you can sort of see the damage that has been inflicted during part 4. You know, around here and all that, but I'm certain, you know, that these are different head sculpts. They haven't just reused this head and superglued the mask permanently to it. They are different, which I'll get onto in a moment. So, lastly, we have this one, which is the one that always confuses everybody. And if you guys have the Part 5 Roy Burns figure, this is the mask that will actually be on the box art for that. And this is because this was one of the posters they used for the film, and it had the incorrect hockey mask on it. You know, it's supposed to have the traditional hockey mask. Instead, they had this. and they made his eyes glow red, and it's so bizarre, but I kind of love it at the same time because it's so different, and it's just nice that NECA would include it, to be honest. I can't understand why people get upset when, you know, companies include things that aren't actually in the film. They're giving you more for your money. Like, sometimes I think fans are just too picky, and it's really irritating. So now we move on to accessories which a lot of people don't get, and that is this bloody axe. Now, from what the box art is telling us, this is meant to be from that scene where Jason stood at the end of the bed. But actually, from what I can remember, he's not holding anything. He's kind of just stood there, staring. And I don't know, that this axe doesn't actually appear in the film. But what I do remember seeing it in was part 4. And I just wondered if maybe, and I'll get onto this in the next accessory, this set is a set designed to enhance your part 4 Jason as well. But I thought these were the same, but actually looking at them together, the handle's much thicker, and so is the head. So no, these are completely different axes. But I just don't know where this appeared in the film. I never remember Jason holding this. He was holding his machete in the rain, but I don't remember him holding this at any point, unless it's a deleted scene I don't know about. So lastly, and this is what ties into the part 4 Jason, we have this. Now, this was an accessory that really did not make sense for this guy, because this guy doesn't have the split hand. Bit of a continuity problem there. In fact, if you watch the film, his hands don't even have makeup on them. They just kind of look like regular hands, you know. But no, of course, in part 4, he gets his hand sliced in half, and this accessory never came with this guy. And I actually mentioned that in the review because it comes with this guy. Now, to swap this out, obviously, just as I've shown you guys previously, hopefully we'll have no problems doing it. That's really on there. I don't want to break it, so this hand pops off really well. So we're going to take our part 4 Jason, and then we are going to put this onto our part 4 Jason. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, wait, what? And now you can recreate the scene where he gets his hand sliced in half. So it's really cool in many ways, but it's strange because they packaged him with this guy, and that hand is never on this body. And unfortunately, because the hand has been painted with his skin tone, it doesn't quite match the skin tone of this figure. But it still looks cool. The only other reason I can maybe come up with is maybe NECA included this to kind of fix the continuity problem, because maybe this version of Jason should have had the split hand, because, you know, if it's meant to be believed that this Jason has come back from the dead, then his hand should be split, shouldn't it? So maybe that's why they included it. Personally, I think it's entirely up to you. You can have it on this Jason if you want to, or you can use it to enhance your part 4 Jason and just, you know, kind of recreate that scene, which is really cool. So it kind of really does give you an incentive to pick this one up, I would say. The fact that you can also kind of mix match accessories a little bit. You could even give this to your part 4 Jason if you wanted to. I mean, just instead of the clean one. It's entirely up to you, but I do understand why some people are a bit confused, like what's going on here, but no, I actually really like it. Like I say, I think this Jason does bring a lot to the table, but what I think lots of people don't like is, you know, this Jason doesn't have removable masks. Instead, he has removable heads, so we'll put this one on. I personally don't mind this, as, you know, I find that having the masks can be stressful because you don't want to move the heads too much. You might, like, break the straps. With this one, you know, because the masks are actually sealed on tight, you've got a bit less stress and a bit more maneuverability, so that's a real good thing. And we'll also take his machete and just put it into his hand. Now, be careful when you're doing this, guys, because it is quite tricky business. So there you are. You can really recreate that scene where he climbs out the grave, which is really cool. I really, really like that. But what we're actually going to do is try putting on his later appearance head. Now, when I first got this, the straps had come unplugged, so I just got a bit of super glue and reattached them, so it's nice and tight again, but, you know, it's just a bit of thing. Be careful when you're taking them out the box. I'm pretty sure they were already like that in the box, but, you know, just be careful. Like I say, a bit of super glue will do the trick, just a dab. So yeah, in that scene I was describing, this is what he looks like. He kind of just stands at the end of the bed, looking like this. I never remember him holding an axe. Unfortunately, this doesn't quite work, because when he stood at the end of the bed, he isn't soaking wet. And that's the problem with this Jason, is it's really just these two head sculpts that actually work with this body. So I suppose your only way around this would be to kind of put this head on a part 4 Jason, really, which you can do. I have tried it, you know, all of the heads are compatible. But another thing I wanted to talk about is the difference between sculpt. Now, this head seems to be a lot smaller than this head, and also if you notice, the ears are different, and even on the other side I think they're slightly different as well. So they haven't just taken this and glued the mask on. They are different sculpts. Like, you can even see at the back, the head is much smaller on this one. I kind of prefer the size of the head on this one, to be honest. This Jason just seems to have better proportions than this one. I mean, it's not too noticeable, to be honest. That could just be me being really picky. It was just something I picked up on only a few days ago, to be honest. But no, I think both of them are cool. I think a lot of people don't like that, you know, it's just black eyes, you know, there's nothing behind there like on this Jason. But like I say, you don't really... I think there actually was cloth, but like behind the eye holes so that you couldn't see the actor inside. So I think NECA have recreated that really well. But lastly, what I'm going to do, just move him out the way. So I'm going to put the very unique head on. And I mean, if you're looking for something on your shelf that looks nothing like all the rest of the figures, I mean, this guy is going to stand out. I mean, look at this. That is actually really cool, but at the same time, it does look a bit silly. I don't think I would ever display him like this, to be honest. You know, it's definitely not something that you see often. And like I say, you can mix and match these heads. I mean, I was able to put the part 3 head on here. So, you know, you can kind of customize your own Jason. But I think we're going to go... This is the head sculpt I will use to display him. Because like I say, he's soaking wet. So it's clearly pouring rain. And it's the bit where Tommy's like, you know, moaning. And he's just gradually getting closer to him. And then, you know, he's about to slash him. So yeah, that's really cool. And I think I'll definitely have the grave stood behind him on the shelf. It would be cool to sprinkle some soil on it as well, just kind of recreate that. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with this photography. So overall, I think many people say that if you're collecting the Jason line, if you have to skip one of them, then skip this one. And yeah, I mean, if you had to skip one of them, but I don't really see why you'd have to. I'd say get them all. But, you know, this probably isn't going to be the first one that you pick up, and that's completely understandable. In fact, to be honest, I'd probably recommend that you pick this one up first. But, you know, you get lots of really cool accessories, and even one that can enhance your Part 4 Jason. So I would say this is still a very good figure. I'd give this like a solid... I'd give a 7 out of 10. Unfortunately, mine, for some reason, is quite lanky. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Maybe they forgot to put the oil on, that kind of stuff that tightens it. I don't know, but it looks good on the shelf, and it still stands really, really well. And I love the heads that he comes with and all of the accessories. So I think we're going to wrap up this review now, guys. Like I say, only 2 more Jasons to go, and then I'll have reviewed all of them. I'll definitely have to give them their own playlist, I think, you know, so that you guys can check them out whenever you like without having to browse through and try and find them. So yeah, really, really like this figure. Nowhere near as much as the Part 3, Part 4, Part 7 and stuff like that, but I still think it's a really good figure nonetheless. And if you're a Jason fan and a Friday the 13th fan, and you've got the Roy Burns figure, I'd still recommend that you pick this one up as well, because it's really just going to add to your display, and the inclusion of all these heads is really, really cool. And I love the gravestone. I think the detail, grave plank, the detail on the soil is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, overall guys, really like this figure. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Do you think this one is worth it, or do you think it's worth skipping on? So stay safe and happy wherever you all are in the world, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye guys.